Hi everybody, this is the Football Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, the Hunt, and welcome back to the Football Hut. We don't just talk about the New York Giants, also talk about some of these radio personalities and these TV personalities that talk about the different teams in this town. Boy, this is like the nervous hospital. You ever watch Sling Blade? You ever seen that movie, Sling Blade? That's how some of these guys are and ladies are that cover the teams. And just talk about the teams, not even to cover the teams. Especially these guys on the radio like WFAN or ESPN. I did a video on Michael Kay where he made up a story that Brian Daboll had the Giants coach Brian Daboll had a party at his house. And it was a big brouhaha. But meanwhile, it was his kid's birthday party, and the kid's 6 years old. Now we're going to go and talk about Greg Giannotti, one of the personalities at WFAN. But before we get into this video, we need to subscribe. You want to have a couple of laughs. So I'm going to read you from Odyssey.com. We'll get into this. I've made fun of Greg Giannotti a few times. Especially on the other channel, the Baseball too. And we've had a lot of fun. And I know that people love these kind of videos. Because if you're watching, if you're watching this channel or you're watching anything on YouTube or watch a separate podcast, you get tired of hearing about these people on the radio and on TV complaining about every little nook and cranny of your team. Get tired of it. And myself and a lot of other guys are a bit of an alternative to that nonsense. This is from Odyssey.com, which is a WFAN CBS website. Headline, Gio, this is Greg Giannotti, who is one half of the Boomer Esiason and Greg Giannotti show, Boomer and Gio. I like to call them Norman and Greg. They are like the sequel or the spin-off to Dharma and Greg, that old show back in the 90s. Dharma left Greg, Greg met Norman. You see, you get it? So, Gio, fans will start to turn on Joe Schoen, Brian Daboll, if Giants lose week 2. Interesting. Now we know that Greg Giannotti does all these different impressions. And no one, and I mean no one, and the Hut means no one, that nobody will ever do an impression of Greg. Because he doesn't have his own personality. And when he does have his own personality, he's very angry. He's actually admitted to having personal mental problems. I'm not joking. He said this on his show. He's fought with callers, saying that he needs to toughen up. I don't care. He wants to be as soft as he wants to be. He wants to have his mental problems all he wants. That's not my business. But when the guy goes after my teams and no one sort of sticks up for them, I will do that. Gio is marking Sunday's game against the lowly Cardinals a must-win for the Giants, and perhaps more than a must-win. Big Blue needs to thoroughly outplay Arizona to help wipe away the recent memory of the team's lopsided losses. One lopsided loss. And more importantly, avoid the new regime from facing its first hints of doubt from the fan base. Now, when did Greg Giannotti get to be the arbiter and the voice of the people? Quote, they got killed by the Eagles in the playoffs. They got killed by the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. Those are the last 2 games you remember them playing. Okay, Greg, slightly different team from last year. Quote, the fan base for the most part is giving them a pass in week 1 if they play well against the Cardinals and go about their business. But this is the first time I think questions about Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll could arise if they lose this game. Now, Brian Daboll won the Coach of the Year in the NFL last year, and it seems to be universally believed that this is a very good front office, a very good coaching staff. But according to Greg, if they lose this week, that there'll be questions that will arise. You talk about the last game of last season against a Super Bowl team, and the first game against a team that has a chance to be one of the best teams in the NFL as well. The Giants were not a favorite going into that first game on Sunday. They were a 3.5 point underdog, but I know that the deficit was very big, but they were an underdog. Schoen and Daboll turned things around in a hurry last season as Daboll won Coach of the Year honors and Schoen was praised for handling a salary cap nightmare and still putting together a playoff team. But Greg believes that initial good could begin deteriorating for the first time if the Giants suffer an upset loss on Sunday. Quote, the Giants fans have been thrilled with Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen, as you should be, Greg said. The team came out of nowhere last year. But if they lose this game, then the questions start. Is he the right guy? Is he Joe Judge all over again? Is this another one of these first-year great, second-year disasters that we've seen go round and round with the Giants? I don't believe that's going to be the case, but he mentioned it. But if they lose this game, the Giants fan will start to turn on those guys. No. You only speak for yourself, Greg. That means, and that's a warning towards the towards the Giants, front office and the coaching staff, that he will turn on them on Monday. Giants lose on Sunday, he will turn on them. He will attack them and compare them to the last few regimes that have been here prior to last year. There's no net with them. They'll go after it, and they don't care. And they don't care who they sling in the mud. They've done this before. They'll continue to do it. But like I said, there's no alternative. There's no you have. And here's the thing about the Giants. They are broadcast by WFAN. So they have to take this monkey crap from these people on the radio. They can't say nothing because they're in business with them. I am not in business with WFAN and never will be. I'm an alternative towards that. So if you want an alternative, you need to subscribe to this channel and keep it here. Keep it here. You'll know about stuff here. You'll know about how the teams get treated. The Jets are getting attacked. The Mets get attacked all the time, as well as you can see from the background. But the Giants have been a great organization, but they've had a lot of bad down years the last 10 years. But they had a good first year with Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll. Give me a break. After the second game of the season, Greg is making all kinds of wild threats. Well, I think the Giants will win on Sunday. I know if you're a fan, you'll think they'll win on Sunday. And you won't have to hear this nonsense that's going to come out of his mouth on Monday. Now, if they lose, I'm sure he'll say something crazy, and then he'll come up with something crazy during the week. If they win, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, he'll say something insane about them maybe going 0-3 or whatever. But I don't think that's going to happen. They'll probably lose on Thursday against the Niners, but that's my own opinion, just based off of the team's records from last year and the quality of the teams the last few years. But Greg has a lot of issues, so who knows which personality you're dealing with here. And, Greg is one of these kinds of talk show hosts that's weak. He doesn't really have his own personality. That's why he does all these great impressions of all these different people that you don't know of, but they talk about at the station. I'm sure at some point he'll do an impression of me that'll probably be better than... And I would say again, nobody's going to do an impression of him. Nobody can do one of them. He doesn't have his own personality. But sort of kind of petered out at the end of this video. I said, what a shame. But no, I want to thank you for watching this video. Of course, please subscribe to the football. Thank you, and I'll see you later.